In 2022, an Instagram post by a user named Crict went viral. It was about an art installation called I Can't Help Myself, in which a robotic arm tries in vain to squeegee red fluid towards itself. Crict had this to say:
"No piece of art has ever emotionally affected me the way this robot arm piece has. It's programmed to try to contain the hydraulic fluid that's constantly leaking out and required to keep itself running. If too much escapes, it will die."
The internet sympathised with its lonely, ultimately futile existence. An existence that came to an end 3 short years after it was created. Except none of that was true. The artist's intent was to highlight violence at geopolitical borders as a result of industrialisation and technology. The fluid wasn't even hydraulic. It was meant to symbolise the blood of immigrants. The robot used electric motors. But art is subjective. The phrase "beauty is in the eye of the beholder" speaks to that fact. That's why The Matrix, a film that for its creators was an allegory for the experience of being transgender, was easily adopted by billions of people who have no connection to that experience. But what does any of this have to do with Stray? Well, you're gonna have to bear with me on this one. But trust me, it does come back. As I was trolling YouTube, wondering why there's inexplicably so much Alexandra Brotez in my feed, I happened across a video titled "Games Where You're Not the Main Character." I expected some kind of list video of games like Telling Lies or Hidden Folks, games where the very concept of a main character just doesn't make any sense, it doesn't apply. What I got was a video essay on how Stray is not actually about a cat.
Midway through my journey through the walled city, I realized that this game that starred a cat wasn't about a cat.
How could a video game with a cat on the box, named for a term used to refer to cats, and where you play as a cat, not be about a cat? Now, I just want to preface this. I am not trying to start some kind of internet drama with I Am Dot here. I encourage anyone who finds this video interesting to go check out that video, which I will link in the description. The video is very well done. I did find the video interesting. I just disagree with bits of it. Now, the video does mention 2 other games, only one of which I've played, but the overall point is the same. So we're going to focus on Stray because it gave me an excuse to go back and play it again to get all this lovely B-roll. The thrust of the argument is that while the player controls the cat, the story actually centres around the robot, B12. And I get the logic of this take. B12 is vital to the plot of the game. He is quite literally our voice in the game's world. He interprets things that we can't read and gives us context that we wouldn't otherwise have. And if you pull back from the cat and take a broader view of the story, it certainly does look a lot more like B12's story. Like B12 is the focal point of events that unfold, and the cat is almost just his steed, a little less Gandalf and a little more Shadowfax if you like. But it's in that pulling back, in that adoption of a different viewpoint, that I take issue. Video games are mostly not a passive experience. In the case of Stray, the player takes an active role in the story. Yes, that story is linear, and you can't change the outcome, but it doesn't carry on without you. When you die, the story stops. Now, this in and of itself doesn't make the argument. The cat serves as a window into the world, so of course the game stops when it dies. There's no point in the story continuing if the player can't observe it. Authors who want to kill off their characters can get around this with different points of view. In Lord of Rings, we, the reader, have an omniscient viewpoint. We see whatever Tolkien wants us to see, and he can have us flit around from the Shire to Mordor as he sees fit. In Game of Thrones, we have a more limited viewpoint. We can still flit around from character to character, but we only ever see the world through someone's eyes. When we're in Tyrion Lannister's head, we only see what Tyrion Lannister sees. There's also first person, but for some reason the only example I can think of right now is Twilight, so we're just gonna skip over that one. Stray utilises a third-person limited point of view, in which we follow a single character through the story. It's a very useful point of view when introducing the reader, or in this case the gamer, to a new world. This was perhaps best demonstrated in Harry Potter, where Harry has absolutely no idea what's going on basically all of the time. Harry has to learn about the magical world for the first time, and through him, we also learn about the magical world for the first time. Stray uses the same trick, and once again, it's very effective. We are plunged into an unfamiliar world of oddities and mystery, and through the cat learning about the world around it, we also learn. And IamDot does go into some detail about the literary device of point of view, citing examples like Sherlock Holmes, where Sherlock is undoubtedly the main character, but we, the reader, see things through the eyes of Watson. In this role, Watson is what's known as an audience surrogate. He has his own thoughts and his own feelings, but his role in the narrative is essentially to be explained at. Sherlock deduces things that us mere mortals could never hope to have worked out by ourselves. But it would be a bit weird for him to stand and monologue every time he figured something out. So, Watson is there to be clueless and ask questions, so that, through him, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the author, can explain what just happened to us without breaking the fourth wall or having his character act a bit weird.
Well, within the narrative, that is, broadly speaking, your function.
This is a solid observation for characters in a book. But Stray isn't a book, and the cat isn't just our window. Everything that happens in Stray happens to the cat. Cat doesn't just watch in astonished admiration as B12 deduces the solution to a puzzle. Cat, we, are the ones solving the puzzle. B12 leads the cat on an epic journey through Walled City 99, but it's not B12's journey that we're playing. B12 is just along for the ride. It's the cat's journey, a journey that ultimately helps the cat achieve its goal of reaching the outside. Earlier I made an analogy to Gandalf and Shadowfax, but a more apt analogy would be the part in Star Wars where Chewbacca carries a broken C-3PO around on his back. C-3PO has his own role to play in the wider story, but he is for a time Chewbacca's luggage. But I will concede that from a narrative point of view, it's not just about the cat. The story is about an abandoned city, about the people that are no longer there, about the living robots that they left behind. And if Stray were a book or a movie, I wouldn't be making this video. But Stray is a game, and while we can draw a lot of parallels between video games and other entertainment mediums, it does video games a disservice to ignore the differences. Gaming is not a passive experience. We are not watching the story unfold, we are active participants. Our actions are the driving force behind the narrative's progress. Yes, B12 could be considered as the central character of the plot, a plot that the cat just stumbled into. But that's not the cat's story. That's not our story. Our story is about getting lost, finding our way home, and the strange minds that we meet along the way. And we are definitely the main character of that story. To claim that the player is not the main character in Stray ignores key aspects of the medium in which Stray exists. It makes no sense to say that anyone other than the cat is the main character, because we are very specifically bound to the cat. The cat is the only character we can play as. Everyone else, no matter how big their adventure or how important their arc, is just a side character in the story we're playing. It's fair to say that the story of Stray is not just about a cat. But the cat, and by extension you, the player, are the main character in the game. At the start of this video, I talked about how art is open to interpretation. And if it wasn't obvious already, I am one of those people who considers video games to be a form of art. Now, I'm not going to say that someone is wrong for viewing the story of Stray through the lens of B12, which may be surprising given the last 5 minutes of this video, I get that. Stray is, in my opinion, a work of art, and the enjoyment of that art shouldn't be restricted by what anyone says, whether they be art critics or the creators of the art or some pillock on YouTube. Hi, how you doing? I do not think IamDot is wrong for thinking that the story of Stray is not about the cat. I think they're wrong for stating that the story of Stray is not about the cat. And that, I guess, is why I felt the need to make this video. The title, Games Where You're Not the Main Character, sparked something. Because in the context of Stray, in the context of art, it's exclusionary, because it places restrictions on your experience. Ultimately, the point I felt compelled to make, though I didn't realize it until I started making the video, was not that the cat is objectively the main character in Stray, even though I personally believe that it is, as the sole playable character in this video game. But even if it weren't, even if there was unanimous agreement that B12 is the real protagonist of the game, I would still take issue with absolute statements about you not being the main character, because art is up for interpretation, and interpretation is personal. The artist behind I Can't Help Myself might not have intended to portray an anthropomorphic robot, frantically trying to prevent its lifeblood from seeping away, but I like to think that they aren't mad that so many people were moved emotionally by this interpretation. It's art. You can interpret it however you like. And if you want to imagine yourself as a cute, fluffy oh shit, now it just sounds like I'm talking about furries. You've got to proofread this shit.